Last class I have given you definition of root locus, and also I have explained you the importance of root locus, and also I have explained the angle condition and magnitude condition. So I have explained all the important things in the previous class. In this root locus technique unit, so today I am going to explain construction rules. There are construction rules. There are 9 construction rules are there. So with the help of these rules, you can sketch the root locus. Okay. See the first rule. Rule 1. The first rule is the root locus is symmetrical about the real axis. Okay. See the first rule is the root locus. The root locus is symmetrical about the real axis. So that is this is a real axis. Okay. So here we know that the roots of the characteristic equation are either real or complex conjugate or combination of both. Therefore, their locus must be symmetrical about the real axis of the S plane. If you just take this one, this is the S plane, this is a S plane, this is a positive sigma, negative sigma, this is j omega, this is minus j omega. So this is the real axis of the root locus. This entire positive to negative is a real axis. Okay, so this one in the S plane, if you just like this S plane, so here the roots could be the real means maybe roots may be in the real axis, or the roots may be complex conjugate here somewhere, or the combination of both. Okay, so just an example, if the graph is like this, if there is a complex pole, so the graph is like this, and what is symmetrical graph is like this. Okay, so if your graph is like this, okay, here is a 1 0. Okay, what happened? So this common like this. Okay, so the symmetrical this is a symmetrical about the real axis. See rule 2, as k increases from 0 to infinity, the root locus branches originates from open loop poles, means at k is equal to 0, and terminate. So the first where terminates m zeros of f of s, and second thing, it will terminate n minus m branches at infinity. Okay, so if you just take an example, right, so if I have two roots here, here is one root, okay, and another root is here, and another root is here, and if you put 0 is here, so what happened? As the k value increases, what happened? These roots will increase, okay, and go this direction, right? So this root, what happened? And this root, so will terminate at 0 pole. So this root will terminate at 0, at zeros. So these roots will terminate at infinity. So this is the second rule. Third rule we will study about the third rule. Here rule 3, a point on the real axis lies on the locus if the number of open loop poles plus zeros on the real axis to the right of this point is odd. If you just take a if we just take a S-plane, okay, just take a S-plane, and I'm going to take a transfer function. The transfer function is, so this is a unity feedback transfer function, right? K into S plus 1, S plus 2 by S into S plus 3 and S plus 4. So this is a unity feedback control system. So of course this is C of S and this one is the R of S. Okay, so when you observe this graph, this is the S plane, this is the S plane. So what it says, now you just look at the poles and zeros on the S plane. So you just see that here K S is equal to S plus 1 is equal to 1, means S is equal to minus 1. If you just take a scale here, so this one is the scale, I'm taking a scale here. If you take a scale, see what you get. Okay, so S is equal to minus 1, it means, so this is a numerator, this is the denominator. So numerator contains zeros and denominator contains poles. Okay, here S is equal to minus 1. So S is equal to minus 1 means I am going to zeros, so I am going to mark as zeros, right? The poles I am going to mark as a cross. Okay, zeros I am going to mark as a 0. So we see that this one is a minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, this is a omega, 2 omega, 3 omega, 4 omega, j axis. Here also omega, omega, 2 omega, 1 omega. This omega j. Okay, so this is a scale I have taken. So first in a numerator S is equal to minus 1. So I have located one pole here, and S is equal to minus 2. So I have located another pole here. In the first S is equal to minus 1, one pole, 1 0 I have located here. S is equal to minus 2, another 0 I have located here. So now I am going to locate poles. So here S is equal to 0 means here is a one pole, right? S is equal to minus 3, here is another pole, and S is equal to minus 4, so here is another pole. Okay, so if you take this one is minus 4 and this is a minus 4, is another pole is located here. Okay, so what you have to take, you take any test point on the real axis. So you have to find root locus path only on the real axis. The entire real axis means negative, minus negative to plus positive. This entire real axis, we have to find root locus path. How are you going to find it? We just see that on the root locus, maybe if we have here poles also, the complex pole, we don't consider these poles. Okay, only we just observe the poles and zeros which are lying on the real axis. Okay, so we have to find the real axis. How are you going to find? If you take a test point here, this is called test point. Okay, so this test point, right side of this test point, sum of poles and zeros, that's what you say, that open loop poles, okay, open loop poles plus zeros on the real axis to the right of this point. See the test point right side, number of poles and zeros, we have to check it. What is the number of poles and zeros? Number of poles and zeros, if it is an odd number, okay, that portion exists on the root locus path. If it is even number, that doesn't exist on the root locus path. So if odd number, sum of poles and zeros, odd number, okay, so root locus path will exist. Root locus will exist. If this is the first one, So second one, if if sum of poles and zeros even number, so root locus does not exist. Root locus does not exist. This is the key point you have to remember. So test point right side, sum of poles and zeros odd number, so that portion will exist on the root locus. If sum of poles and zeros right side of this point, if it is a even number, root locus does not exist. If you just take this one, the test point right side of this test point, how many number of poles and zeros? Here are 0. 0 is a even number. So I have taken this test point from this pole to entire this positive. So entire this portion will not belongs to root locus path, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm moving my test point. So I'm taking my test point between this 0 and this pole. So I've taken test point here. See, so right side of this test point, so what is sum of poles and zeros? Sum of poles and zeros is odd number. It means only one is there. Sum of poles and zeros here, in this case, sum of poles and zeros, only one root is there. So this is a odd number. So this is odd number. So what happened? This root locus will exist. You see that I taken test point between 0 and pole. So when you check right side of the test point, sum of poles and zeros, open loop poles, sum of open loop poles and zeros is odd number. So this portion will exist on the root locus path. So I'm just going to take this black color to show the root locus. So this is the root locus. So -1 to 0, root locus path will exist. If I take a test point here, so you have to check every pole and zero, everything you have to check, entire real axis you have to check it. So if I take in this test point, right side of this point, rest of test point, what is sum of poles and zeros? Sum of poles and zeros are 2. Poles and zeros are 2. So one pole and one zero, right? So since it is a even number, no root locus will exist. So this portion will not belongs to root locus path. So this test point I have taken between this 0 and this 0. So when I checked it, sum of poles and zeros, so what happened? So you got a even number, therefore so root locus will not exist between these two zeros. Now I am going to take a test point here. So what's the right side of this test point? Right side of this test point, how many poles and zeros? So here is a 1, 2, 3. So sum of poles and zeros are 3. Here sum of poles and zeros are 3. This is odd. So root locus will exist. Right. So I have taken this test point between 0 and pole. So this portion will exist root locus because it's an odd number. So this is a root locus. Even if I take a test point in this, even I get test point here, we'll take a test point here, so right side of the right side of this test point, how many number of poles and zeros? Number of poles and zeros are 4. So here 2 zeros and 2 poles, so plus number of poles and zeros are 4. So it's a even number. So root locus does not exist. Here. Root locus does not exist. If we take a test point here, right? So right side of the test point, how many poles and zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So sum of poles and zeros here, sum of poles and zeros are 5. So it is odd number. Therefore root locus exists. Root locus will exist. So this entire portion is the part of root locus. You just see here this entire portion. So this portion is a root locus, and this portion is a root locus, and this portion is the root locus. This portion is not root locus, and this portion also not root locus. Okay, so this is the rule 3. So next we study rule 4, that is asymptotes. Rule 4 is asymptotes, means it's angle of directions. Angle of directions. So next one is asymptotes. So rule 4, I'm going to explain the rule 4. Rule 4 is asymptotes. Asymptotes, and also we can say this one the directions. Okay, so here what is the formula for this asymptotes? Okay, asymptote, to find asymptotes, so here n minus branches will go to infinity. So the equation for asymptotes is, so phi a, so odd multiple of tq plus 1, so this is 180 plus or minus 180 by n minus m. Here n is equal to, number of poles. N is equal to number of poles, and m is equal to number of zeros. Okay, so here q, what is the q here? So this is the formula I'm going to put in the bracket. Okay, q is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, so on, n minus m minus 1. Okay, so this is asymptotes and directions. So what is actually this meaning is that, if you take one example, I want to explain you. So you take one example, this example, f of s is equal to 1 by s into s plus 1, s plus 2. Okay, so now I'm going to locate on this s plane. Okay, so you just locate these poles and zeros on the s plane. When you locate this, so when s is equal to 0, here is a 1 pole, so there are no zeros here. So s is equal to minus 1, here is 1 pole, s is equal to minus 1, and s is equal to minus 2, another pole is located. So 3 poles are located on the s plane. If you just see that, if you find, by using the rule 3, if you find the root locus, what happened? Root locus will not exist at this portion, right? And if you take this test point, root locus will exist between these 2 points. Okay, if you take test point here, root locus will not exist between these 2 poles. If we take test point here, root locus will exist on this point. So I take little longer this one. So this entire portion is belongs to root locus. Okay, and this portion also belongs to root locus. You know that when these are originates from k is equal to 0, this also k is equal to 0. See, as you increase the k value, what happened? So one pole move this direction. Okay, this pole will move direction. Okay, and this pole naturally should move this direction and terminate at k is equal to infinity. So these poles, as you increase the k value, what happens? These poles will approach here at this point, and this will break away and move in the complex plane, right? This move in the complex plane. So after breakaway, how these poles are going to move, at what direction these poles are going to move? So these asymptotes will tell you after breakaway what direction, at what angle these poles will move. So it will give the guidelines of root locus. It will guide the root locus, how this root locus is moving after breakaway point. We see from this example only. Okay, and also you have to find a rule 5. Here rule 5 you have to find the centroid. I am also going to write here rule 5. Rule 5 you are going to find centroid. So it is going to represent as minus sigma. So centroid is equal to what? Sum of poles, means it's only real part. Okay, sum of poles and also sum of zeros. This means only real part, that you have to remember, only real part, and here also real part by n minus m. So this is the equation for the centroid. This is the equation for centroid. So from centroid only we can draw these asymptotes. So from this example I am going to find both asymptotes and centroids by using this equation. So you just see that. So what is the equation we have? The equation is asymptotes phi a is equal to plus or minus 2q plus 180 by n minus m. I told you what is n, what is m, what is q, also I have explained you. So centroid formula. So this is the asymptotes, finding asymptotes. The centroid formula is sum of poles of real part minus sum of zeros of real part. Only real part we are not going to take imaginary part. This is n minus m. So this is a rule 3 and this is the rule 4. Okay, this is a rule, this is a rule 5 and this is a rule 4. So from rule 4 we are going to find asymptotes, and rule 5 we are going to find centroid. To draw, okay, so this is rule 4 and rule 5. Okay, to draw asymptotes we need centroids also. So we find it from the given equation. What is the given equation? The given equation is f of s is equal to 1 plus k by s into s plus 1 into s plus 2. Okay, so we draw the graph for this. We take this graph, take the s plane, sigma minus sigma plus j omega minus j omega. I'm going to look at the poles here. Here is s is equal to 0, s is equal to minus 1 and s is equal to minus 2. The poles are located, right? So I want to know how these poles are going to move it. In the last sheet I explained you, these roots will move this direction, this root will move this direction after breaking, and they will go on the complex plane after that, and which direction they will move, that we have to find. To find that, rule 4 and rule 5 will help. So what is asymptotes? To find the asymptotes you have to find q value. So q is equal to here 0, 1, 2 and 3, n minus m minus 1. So n minus m minus 1, it means, so what is the n means here? Number of poles is equal to 3, number of zeros is equal to 0, numerator is 0. So n means 3 minus 0 minus 2 means here 2. So your q value is equal to 0, 1, 2 and 2. So you have to find angle of asymptotes for q is equal to 0. For q is equal to 0 we have to find. Substitute q is equal to 0. So what do you get here? Substitute q is equal to 0. So what do you get? 180 plus or minus 180 by n minus m means it is a 3, so you will get plus or minus 60. So next time, so next you will substitute q is equal to 1. So q is equal to 1. When substitute q is equal to 1, what happens? So 2 plus 3, 3 here gets cancelled, so you will get plus or minus 180 degrees, right? So when q is equal to 2, so what is your asymptotes? What is your asymptote? So we have to find the asymptotes when your q is equal to 2. So when is q is equal to 2 means you substitute q is equal to 2. 2 into 2, 4 plus 1, 5. Okay, 5 into plus or minus 190 by 3, so that will be 60. So this will be plus or minus 300, plus or minus 300. So how I am going to draw this? Okay, let me find centroid also from this. So centroid is this one. Centroid is from, I am going to take this one, centroid. I'm going to draw here centroid. So centroid minus is equal to, so poles of real part of the poles. So real part of the poles. So here real part of poles, we are going to find here, this is real part of poles, real part of poles, and here real part of zeros. Okay, so I'm going to take another sheet. The centroid equation is, root 5, sum of real part of poles minus, right, sum of, this is sum of real part of zeros by n minus m, n minus m. Okay, this one is the equation. Simply you can write minus sigma is equal to sum of poles minus sum of zeros, but you have to remember it is only real part of zeros, and here also real part of zeros and real part of poles here. So that's what we have to remember here. So what is the real part of poles here? If you just see the diagram, what is the real part? S is equal to 0, S is equal to minus 1, S is equal to minus 2. Substitute here. So first 0 plus, then minus 1 plus minus 2. This is a sum of a real part of poles, and the sum of real part of zeros are zeros. See here sum of poles and zeros. So centroid is equal to sum of poles minus sum of zeros. Okay, here real part of poles is 0, minus 1, minus 2. Then real part of zeros are zeros. So n minus m means it is 3 minus 0. So centroid is equal to minus sigma, centroid is equal to, so how much? Minus 1, minus 3, minus 3 by 3 by 3, so you will get minus 1. Well, minus sigma is the centroid. We are going to represent centroid as minus sigma. Here is you got the minus 1. So you should not cut this. So centroid is equal to minus 1. If we cut is it's a wrong. So we should not cut it. So centroid is going to represent minus sigma. So when you get minus 1, you should not cancel it, this one, right? So your centroid is minus 1. So what is our asymptotes? So your asymptotes are, you have calculated, so that is plus or minus 60, right, plus or minus 180. Okay, so this is 300. So this is your asymptotes. So I'm going to draw asymptotes here. We just see that here. So in this graph, so your asymptotes are centroid where is a minus 1. Centroid is where it is a minus 1. Okay, this is centroid. Centroid. Okay, so minus 1 is centroid. From centroid only we are going to draw asymptotes, right? So first asymptotes is how much? It is a minus 60. Minus 60. Okay, minus 60. Okay, so this is 60 degrees, and another asymptote is it's a 190. Okay, this is a 190 degree, and another asymptote is 300. Another asymptotes, this one is another asymptotes. This is 300. This is 300. Okay, so I drawn asymptotes. Okay, centroid also. From centroid only we have to draw asymptotes. You just see that where are your roots? Our roots, one root is at s is equal to minus 1 and s is equal to here 0. So these are your two roots. So you taken centroid from here. Okay, so one root will move this direction and another root move this direction. After breakaway, so this root will move at an angle of 60 degrees. This root will move at an angle of 60 degrees. So here we already given 60 degrees. Okay, so this root will move at an angle of 60 degrees. Okay, so this is about centroid and angle of directions. So next rule, we are going to study the next rule. So rule 6, you have to find the breakaway point. Rule 6. So find the breakaway point. So breakaway or breaking point. So these both are same one. So to find the breakaway point, so you know that equation. So your f of s is equal to, okay, 1 plus k into pi. Here I is equal to 1 to n s plus zi by j is equal to 1 to m s plus pj. Okay, so to find the breakaway point, so I am going to take this one is what is that? This one is the g of s into h of s. This portion is g of s into h of s. So g of into h of s. So taking unity feedback, right? The unity feedback. So g of s into h of s here is equal to, so what is it? 1 by here 1 plus k by, sorry, it is a k by s into s plus 1 into s plus 2. Okay, so here, so your closed loop, your characteristic equation is equal to 1 plus k by s into s plus 1 into s plus 2. Right, so you have to find the characteristic equation. To find the characteristic equation, so you have to find a dk by ds is equal to 0. This is the key point. So we are going to find the k value here. So you just see that your characteristic equation is equal to 0. So you find the k value here. So this is equal to 0. So what happened? 1 plus k by s into s plus 1 into s plus 2 is equal to 0. So when you take LCM, so you will get s into s plus 1 into s plus 2 plus k is equal to 0. So k value you will get minus s cubed plus 6s plus 2s plus 2s. Okay, so this is the k value. If you just multiply, you will get this the k value. So now you differentiate the k value with respect to s. Okay, this is the k value. Now differentiate. So dk by ds, so you will get minus 3s square plus 6 plus 6, right? So here again you differentiate, you will get here plus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, so what is the finally you got the equation? So you got the equation minus 3s square plus, so this is s square, so this is 6s, so 6s plus 2 is equal to 0, 2 is equal to 0. Okay, so if we just find the roots, you will get s values. You get the s value, you just check with the calculator. So you will get s is equal to minus 0.423 and s1, another root is 1.571. So we want to know which is the breakaway point. To find that, see, we substitute in this equation. So k is equal to minus s cube, okay, minus 6s square, right, plus minus s cube plus 6s square plus sorry, so yes, 2s. So if we substitute k value in this equation, right, substitute first minus 4.23 whole cube. If all is substitute, if k, if we get the positive, so that is the breakaway point. That is the breakaway point. If k is equal to, if k value negative, so that will not be a breakaway point. Here, since we substitute s is equal to minus 0.423, so you will get, so k will be positive value. So this is the root locus, this is the breakaway point. So this is, if you substitute here, if you check it, so you will not get positive value, you get the minus value. So this is not the root locus, this is not the breakaway point. So we see that in the diagram. So in the diagram here, so you know this. So here transfer function s is equal to 0, s is equal to 0 minus 1 and s is equal to minus 1. Okay, so you see this breakaway point means here this root will go this direction, then this root will go direction. So what is this breakaway point? So breakaway point here is s is equal to minus 0.423. so this is the breakaway point. This is about the sixth rule. What about if we have a they are also possible to have more than 2 breakaway points. If we just take this example, if we take this example, so I am going to explain one more example. So that is the example one more I am taking, that is g of s into h of s is equal to k by s into s plus 4, so s square plus 4s plus 20. Okay, so we are going to find the breakaway point for this. So you just see that here is plus sigma minus sigma plus j omega minus j omega. Okay, so here how many poles are there? How many poles are there? How many zeros are there? How many poles are there? If you just see that, if I first find angle of asymptotes, so you just calculate, you will get 40 degrees, okay, for this, and 135, okay, and another one is 225, and another one is 315. So these are the angle of asymptotes for this. What is centroid? Centroid you will get minus 2. If you calculate, you will get centroid is minus 2. So first I'm going to look at the rules. here s is equal to 0, 1 pole, and s is equal to -4. If you just take here -1, -2, -3, -4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the plus. 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -2, -3, -4. So one root I have located here. Here I have located s is equal to 0 and s is equal to -4, and s square plus 4s plus 2, 0. So what are the roots for this? So these are the roots are for this. For this you will get the complex roots, that is s is equal to -2 plus j plus or -2 plus or minus j 2.45. So it means, so from here we get the two roots. So one s2, so this is s3 -2 plus j 0.245, sorry 2.45. So another s4 is equal to -2 minus j 2.45, 2 poles. So these two poles are already I have located. What about this -2? Where is the -2? Here is the -2. So j plus j 2.45. 2.45 means here somewhere. So here, okay, here this pole -2 minus j point. So this one is somewhere here. Okay. So here. Here is one pole, here is one pole, here is one pole, here is one pole. So 4 poles I have located. So then as the k value increases, what happened? So before that you just you should know this k value increases. You know test point. How you going to find the test point? So test point here, if you take test point, so this will not be part of root locus. You will take a test point here. So number of poles and zeros are 1. So this is the root locus path, entire path. If you take a test point, so it is a even number, so this is not a part of the root locus. Okay, so now what happened? If k increases, if k is equal to 0 to initially, k is equal to 0, this is also k is equal to 0, k is equal to 0. If I are increasing, so this pole is moving this direction and this pole is moving this direction. In what direction this pole is moving? If k increasing. So to know that, so you have to find the angle of asymptotes. Angle of asymptotes. So that will help us, right? So if we take so this is a 45. You just see that okay. So you don't know how this pole is moving. So to find that, so this is actually it's a 45 degrees. So you am going to draw a line that is a 45 degrees. Okay, so this is a 45. You just take this is our reference or real axis. If you take so you can draw asymptotes. To draw asymptote, you need a centroid also. Where is centroid? Here is a -2 is the your centroid. This is your centroid is -2. From the here only we have to draw angle. So this is a 45 degrees. Okay, 45 degrees, and the next one is 135. Next one is 135. Here is 135. So next, so this will be how much? This will be 225. Total overall this is 225. And again here, if we just draw here, and again, so this will be 315 degrees. Okay, over that will be 350 degrees. This is 315. So what happened, these roots will move a triangle of this direction. So what happened, you see that if this pole is moving this direction, okay, so and this pole is moving this direction, this pole. So this pole is, so we'll take a fresh sheet and I'll explain it here. The fresh sheet I'm going to take it here. So you take this one. So you know this is 0. This is s is equal to 0 and s is equal to here -4, and our centroid is s is equal to -2. No, centroid, this is centroid is equal to -2, right? So and where the complex pole, your complex pole, there are two complex pole. Here is one pole and here is one pole. So you know that you have find the centroid. So after that one angle it will go 45 degrees, okay, one angle has a 45 degrees. This is a 45 degrees, okay, and another one 135, 135, 135. So I'm going to draw this as 135. This is 135, 135 degrees. This is 135 degrees. And the next so the next is the 225. So I'm going to draw this as a 225. So it will, if we just draw here, this will be a 225. This is 225 degrees and another angle. So if we draw, and this will take as a 315 degrees. 315 degrees. So what happened, you got an angle. So one root will move this direction and another root will move this direction, and it just is a symmetrical. One root will move this direction, after breakaway one root will move this direction. So this root is moving this direction. As k value increases here, this root will move this direction and this root will move this direction. So where we will get the breakaway point, so that we have to find. So generally what happened, so you will get a breakaway. So at centroid is equal to -2. So this will move. So this will move. How will they move? So as k increases, this will move this direction, this will move this direction. So again what happened? So this root, another root, what happened? This root will move this direction. So this root move this direction. So after this root move this direction, so this will come here and break away. They will go this direction. So right, and this root also will come. So what happened? This will both will break away. One root will go this direction, another root will go this direction, and here also same, right? And after this breakaway, so it will go like this. It will go like this. So how many breakaway points? Here is a one breakaway point. Here is a one breakaway point. So here is a one. Here is a one. So this all are breakaway points. Breakaway points. Breakaway points. This also breakaway point. 3 breakaway points. We have to find the 3 breakaway points. How are we going to find the same procedure? You take dk by ds is equal to 0. Right. So what are the breakaway points here? S is equal to -2, right? And s is equal to -2. -2 plus 2.45, and another breakaway -2 minus 2.4. This is a 3 breakaway point. This is one breakaway, this is this breakaway point, and this is this breakaway point, and this is here the breakaway point. This is a 3 breakaway points we are going to find it. So this is about the 6th rule. So we are going 7, that is angle of angle of departure from complex pole. Complex pole. So if we just see that how we are going to find the angle of departure, if we take one example, one small example, so that is you take you just draw here your S plane. Okay, so there are, here is one complex pole, here is a one complex pole. Okay, and here is a 0, here 0 and 0 look at it. So as k value increases, okay, as k value increases, if we just know the root locus path, right, so if you take test point here, sum of poles under 0, so this entire, from this entire path is not part of the root locus. If you just take a test point here, test point, so number of poles on zeros are 1, so entire this portion is a root locus, entire root locus. So now for k value increasing, okay, so and what direction it will departure, so what direction it will departure, this will departure this direction, or which direction this route will departure. So we have to find this direction or this direction, or which direction this will departure, that we have to find it. To find that we have a formula. Okay, how we have to find the angle of departure? So to find that you have to use the formula to find the angle of departure. So how I am going to find that? So the equation is the angle of departure, this is the P, I am going to write this one is the P star. So angle of departure at P, so we can represent angle of departure as phi p. Okay, phi p is equal to plus or minus 190. Okay, so 2q plus 1 odd multiples, okay, plus pi, plus pi. So this is the formula. What is the pi here? This is a pi, this is a theta p, you can write the theta p. Okay, so this theta p, this is a theta p. So how to find angle of departure? Phi p is equal to plus or minus 190 odd multiples. So this as a pi, so this I am going to write as a pi, so I am going to write it again here. Angle of departure, how we are going to find it? So I am going to find like this, phi p means this is a angle of departure is equal to plus or minus 180 degrees odd multiples, 2q plus 1, okay, plus phi. Phi means here net angle contribution. Phi means here the net angle. Phi means that net angle contribution. Net angle contribution means here, so the phi means here, phi is equal to here total angle contributed by pole, so that I am going to write minus TP plus total angle contributed by zeros. So pi is equal to minus p plus pi, right? If we, how we are going to find total contribution by poles? So you can draw a line here, so this is, I can note it theta 1, okay, and another line I am going to draw here, okay, so this is theta 2, okay. So what about this one? I am going to drag another line or vector from this. What is this one? Theta. So this one is the theta, so you can write theta 1. So this is contributed by poles. So what is the theta p here? Theta p is equal to, so since it is right side, so I am going to write 180, so So 180 theta 1 is equal to here 180 minus tan inverse, so imaginary part by real part. Okay, theta is equal to, so when it is a symmetrical, you write theta is equal to 90 degrees. So what is the theta 1 here? This theta 1 is contributed by, so 0. This theta 1 is contributed by 0. So I am just going to put z1 here, so it will be good. This is a p1, this one is the p2. Okay, so what is tan inverse? Tan inverse omega by sigma. So what is the total angle contribution here? What is the total angle contribution? So I am going to write it here in this place. So angle of departure is equal to 180 2q plus 1, right, plus, so what is the pi? Pi is equal to, so minus pi minus theta p plus theta z. What is theta p? Theta p means here, okay, so I am going to write this one as a minus 190, right, minus 190. I am taking the minus here, minus 180 minus tan inverse omega by sigma, okay, then plus tan inverse omega by pi, okay, so it is a plus, so tan inverse omega by, so this is the angle of departure. So I will write another sheet so that you can easily understand how I am going to write this one. Okay, 5p is equal to plus or minus 190 2q plus 1, right, tq plus 1. This is the net angle contribution. So pi p is equal to plus or minus 190, so 2q plus 1. So here pi means here, so this is equal to minus theta p plus theta z, theta z. Okay, what is from this equation, what is a theta p? So theta p is equal to, right, theta 1 plus theta 2, right, theta p. So theta z is equal to what? Only, so if I write even p1, this is the p2 also I can write here. So here theta z, so theta z1 is equal to what? Theta z is equal to, this is theta z1. So what is here? Theta p is equal to theta p1. What is the value of theta p1? Theta p1 is equal to, so this is a theta p1, as theta p1, theta p2, this one is a z1. So we have to draw vector from this to this here, from this to here, and we have to find the total contribution at this point. Okay, so this is theta p1 is equal to what? Theta p1 is equal to, you know this, 180 minus tan inverse omega by sigma. So theta p2 is equal to, so 90 degrees, and theta here theta z1 is equal to tan inverse omega by sigma, omega by sigma. So you can go to write here, so plus or minus 190, so 2q plus 1, so that is equal to how much here? So plus minus means here, so I am going to multiply inside the minus, so what you get? Minus 180 plus tan inverse, okay, minus here is 90 degrees, okay, and plus, okay, this one tan inverse omega by pi. So you will get, so angle of departure value. So this angle of departure, when you get the angle of departure value, so generally if we just find the if you just find the omega and sigma value, you will get the angle of departure value. So we know that from the result, I know that from the result, I am writing here, from the result I know that, I will draw here, from the result I know that this is so you know that here is a one pole and here is one pole and here is a 1 0. So how this will move? So this will move at an angle of this. So we already decided this is a root pole. So what happened, you see that this pole will come here, move this direction at an angle of this, and this root will move this direction, right? After meeting this, so it will break away, and after that break away, this pole, one pole will move this direction, another pole move this direction. So this is a k is equal to 0, k is equal to 0, it will terminate this k is equal to 0 at k is equal to this k value will terminate at 0, and this will terminate at k is equal to infinity. So this is how we are going to find the angle of departure. Okay, so next, eighth rule, we are going to find angle of arrival. So there are many examples are there, I will explain to you. So next I am going to explain to you rule 8. So angle of arrival. So last rule, the seventh rule, was the angle of departure. So now we are going to find the angle of arrival. If you just take this graph, okay, so this is plus sigma minus sigma j omega minus j omega. So your poles have been located at 0. Okay, two poles are located at origin. Okay, and another two zeros are located here. Two zeros are located here. So if k is equal to 0, if you increase the k is equal to 0, see this as k value increases, what happens, this will move, okay, move and end at 0. So in what angle it is going to meet this 0? So means, so this is arriving here, so that what angle this root is arriving at 0 and going to end, that we have to find. To find that, the equation is phi z. So this is a angle of arrival. I am going to represent a phi angle of arrival. Okay, so I am going to put as a z is equal to plus or minus 190 odd multiples to q plus 1 minus pi. So pi means here net angle contribution, as like last time, net angle contribution, net angle contribution. So here phi means same like phi pole contributed by angles contributed by pole plus angle contributed by zeros. Okay, the same thing. Okay, so now I draw a vector from poles. Okay, you draw a vector from this here. See, two vectors are there, two vectors. Okay, so what is this here? What is the angle contribution? It is a theta 1. So this is angle contribution is theta 2. So this is a theta p1 is a z1. So this is angle contributed by pole, this is angle contributed by zeros. so what is here? Theta p1 is equal to, since there are two angles, so you have to write 2 theta 1, 2 theta 1. Okay, so here tz1 is equal to what? It's a 90 degrees. Here theta 1 is equal to what? Theta 1 is equal to what here? 180 minus tan inverse omega by sigma. So I'm going to write here. So pi value only I am going to write this pi value. So minus pi p means here, so 2 theta 1, okay, 2 theta 1, okay, 2 theta 1. And what is the z angle contributed by zeros, that is, so I am going to write this one angle, okay. So when you substitute here, when you substitute there, I am going to substitute here, so you will get plus or minus 190 2q plus 1 minus, so minus 2 theta 1 plus z1. So when you multiply inside, what happened, so this become plus or minus 190 2q plus 1 plus 2 theta 1 minus theta z1. So this is your total angle contribution by zeros. So next rule is 8, that is to find the crossover point, find the crossover point on the imaginary axis. So rule 8 is, so to find the crossover point on the imaginary axis. Actually I am going to put a rule angle departure and angle arrival in the same rule, that is rule number 7. So how to rule number 8 is how to find the crossover point on the imaginary axis. If you take this example, the example is g of s is equal to g of s k by g of s into h of s, so that's k by s into s plus 1, okay, into s plus 2. So you know this transfer function. What is the unit transfer function? So what is the closed loop transfer function? It means here the feedback is unit, so you will get characteristic equation 1 plus k by s into s plus 1 into s plus 2 is equal to 0, right? So here you take S plane, the sigma minus sigma j omega minus j omega. So now you look at the poles on the real axis on the S plane. When you look at the poles, so S is equal to 0, S is equal to minus 1 and S is equal to minus 2. You know this is the part of the root locus. This portion is a part of the root locus and this portion is not part of the root locus. So what is the angle of departure? Is there angle of departure? Here there is no angle of departure. So here you got to find, see, as k value increases, what happened? See, this is k is equal to 0, here k is equal to 0 and here k is equal to 0, right? And if it, by checking the test point, this also will fall under the root locus. So entire this path belongs to root locus, okay. So this portion belongs to path locus, but this portion is not belongs to path root locus paths. Only this portion is not belongs to root locus path. So this is this portion and this portion belongs to root locus, right? So as k value increases, so these poles will move. So you know that as k value increases, this pole has to move only in this direction and this pole has to move this direction, this pole has to move this direction, okay. So what are the asymptotes for this? You know the asymptotes 60 degrees and 180 degrees and 360 degrees. Sorry, this is 300 degrees. So what is centroid? Centroid is equal to here minus 1.33. So minus 1.3 means somewhere here centroid is minus 1.33. So from this only you are going to draw asymptotes. This is 60 degrees. Okay, this is 60 degrees. This is again 190. Next, this one is 300. This one is a 300. What here? Okay, I am going to take minus 60. This plus and minus 60 degrees. So this is 60, then this is a 180, and again if you draw, this is a 300. So we are taking only first angle. So here these roots, as k value increases, right, this root move this direction and this root will move this direction. All of these roots, these asymptotes are given the direction of the roots. It means this root has to move this direction. So and this will move this direction and this root will move in this direction. Okay, after k value increasing, they will meet at this point. And okay, I explained how to find the breakaway point. Now the eighth rule is to find the crossover point on the imaginary axis. So now they will move this direction. This root also will move this direction. So what is the crossover frequency at this point? What is the crossover frequency at this point? So what is the k value and omega value we can find here? How to find this? To find that, so what we have to do? So you just take characteristic equation. We just take a characteristic equation. So what is the characteristic equation from this? From this characteristic equation is, so I can write here characteristic equation, that is, so 1 plus k by s into s plus 1 into s plus 2 is equal to 0. So this is a characteristic equation. So you just cross multiply, you will get s into s plus 1 into s plus 2 plus k is equal to 0. So what happened? You just k, you send this side, s into s plus 1 into s plus 2. So you just multiply it. So you will get minus s, I multiply this, s square plus 2s plus s plus 2s. Okay, then finally you will get s cubed plus 2s square plus s square plus this is 2s square. So here is the characteristic equation. Characteristic equation, s cubed, we know that that is 1 plus k by s into s plus 1 into s plus 2 which equal to 0. So you can write this s into, you can write this s into s plus 1 into s plus 2 plus k is equal to 0, right? So if you just multiply this, so if you will get s cube plus 4s square plus 13s plus k is equal to 0. So what you have to do, you put s is equal to j omega, and you put j omega cubed in this equation. In this equation you have to put, so 4j omega square plus 13j omega plus k is equal to 0. So what happened here, you know, j square is equal to minus 1. J square is equal to minus 1. J square I write here, j square is equal to minus 1. Okay, so what happened here, minus j omega cube So minus 4 omega square plus 13 j omega plus k is equal to 0, right? You separate imaginary part and real part. So when you separate this, omega cubed minus j omega cubed plus 13 j omega plus k minus 4 omega square is equal to 0. I separated. So what happens when you separate? Minus omega cube plus 13 omega j plus k minus 4 omega square to 4, right? So what you do, you take this imaginary part 0 and real part 0. So when you take this, so you take this imaginary part, so you will get minus omega cube plus 13 omega j plus k minus 4 omega square is equal to 0. Separate, take imaginary part 0 and real part 0. So if we take here minus omega cube plus 13 omega is equal to 0, and here k minus 4 omega square is equal to 0, right? So what do you get here? Minus omega cubed is equal to minus 13 omega, so minus gets cancelled, omega gets cancelled, omega square is equal to 13, right? So omega is equal to what? 13 root 13. So omega is equal to, here is a plus or minus, so 3.6 radians per second. So this is a omega value. So now here k is equal to 4 omega square. You know omega square is equal to 13. K is equal to 4 into 30. So k is equal to 52. So this is the crossover point. If you just take this graph here, so we found omega is equal to plus or minus 3.6 radians per second, and k is equal to 52. See, at this point the omega is equal to how much? 3.6 radians per second, and here is omega is equal to minus 3.6 radians per second. So what is the k value here? The k is, so it is a 52. This is how we are going to find rule 8. Rule 9. Rule 9 is find the value of k corresponding to zeta is equal to 0.5. Okay, so if they give the zeta value of 5, so zeta value should be the 5, and at this zeta value you have to find the k value. How to find the k value? You know that angle alpha is equal to, okay, so the equation is 1 plus k by s into s plus 1 into s plus 2. Okay, you know here one root, and here is one root, and here is one root. Okay, so you know how the root locus of this is, one root will go this direction, another root will go this direction. So we have already calculated. So this is k is equal to 52 and omega is equal to 3.6 radians per second, and we know this is centroid. We explain this one is, this root will go this direction, will go and end it, start here and terminate at this point. So what actually we have to find? If we draw we have to find a root locus. The question is, we have to find k value for zeta is equal to omega 5. So when zeta is equal to omega 5, angle is equal to 60. So at an angle of 60 we have to draw angle of 60 I have drawn it. So this is angle of 60. I have drawn it. So it is here touching. So this point you have to find it. To find that, so there is a formula that k is equal to, okay, product of length of product of length of vectors from all poles to the point S is equal to ST by, right, the same thing. So you have to write product of length of. So here alpha value is given, alpha is equal to 60 degrees. So you know that from the root locus, here is a one pole and here is also one pole and here is another pole. So these roots will move this direction and this root will this direction. We already explained this one. This root will move this direction. So now alpha is equal to 60. So when zeta is equal to 0.5, alpha is equal to cos inverse 0.5, that is 60 degrees. So at an angle of 60 degrees you draw an angle, so it will touch some root locus here. So this point, at this point, what is the k value? You have to find it. To find the formula, k is equal to product of length of vectors from all poles to the product S is equal to SD by product of length of vectors from all zeros to the points S is equal to ST. So what we do, so we draw vectors from here to draw one vector here, from here to draw one vector, from here to draw one vector. If zeros are there, you can also draw zeros. So no zeros here. So you can measure this lengths with a scale. So this one is this vector is L1, this vector L2 and L3. If L1 is equal to 1.3, if L2 is equal to 1.7, if L3 is equal to 3.5. So if you multiply, you will get 7.96 here. So there is no product length of vectors from all zeros, so we put 1. So approximately we will get k is equal to 8. This is how we are going to find the rule 8. So when we are doing the problems, so all rules may not applicable. Some rules will applicable, some rules may not applicable. So this is all about the 9 rules. If you know these 9 rules, you can easily do problems.